Welcome to the news. We take a look at stories making headlines. The Food Reserve Agency FRA has said it's buying maize price for the 2018 crop marketing season at 65 kwacha. The ruling Patriotic Front, PF, and the opposition UPND have committed themselves to ending political violence during elections. Now the news in detail. The Food Reserve Agency FRA has said its maize buying price for the 2018 crop marketing season at 65 kwacha for per 50 kg bag, an increase of 5 kwacha on last year's pricing. FRA Board Chairperson Jos Machela has told a media briefing that the agency will start buying maize and other crops on 1st August 2018. Mrs. Machela says the agency will buy 500,000 metric tons of maize, 10,000 metric tons of soybeans, and 2,100 metric tons of paddy rice. Mrs. Machela says over 1.1 million kwacha has since been set aside for this exercise. He says that the FRA currently has 300,000 metric tons of maize in its storage facilities. More in the following report.
The Food Reserve Agency, FRA, has restricted itself to purchase 500,000 metric tons of grain as National Strategic Food Reserve in outlying areas. The agency will no longer sell grain to millers, as millers are also expected to buy their own stocks. This year, the agency will enhance community sales and sell to vulnerable communities and programs such as the DMMU, Ministry of General Education, for the homegrown school feeding program, correctional facilities, hospices, and hospitals, among others. And in the 2017-2018 crop forecast survey results indicate that maize production of 2.39 million metric tons, 43,063 metric tons of paddy rice, and 302,720 metric tons of soybeans. The FRA is mandated to purchase white maize, orange maize, rice, sorghum, sunflower, groundnuts, soybeans, and beans. However, due to logistical and budgetary limitations, the agency will only buy 3 commodities for National Strategic Food Reserves. These are white maize, paddy rice, and soybeans. Jos Machela is FRA Board Chairperson, who has announced that the government, through the Food Reserve Agency, will be purchasing white maize at a price of 65 kwacha per 50 kg bag.
With that said and done, I would like now to announce the prices of the commodities for the 2018 season. White maize, as I mentioned, we're buying 500 metric tons, and the price will be 65 kwacha. 65 kwacha for a 50 kg bag. Soybeans, we're anticipated to buy 10,000 metric tons, and the price will be 130 kwacha for a 50 kg bag. Paddy rice, we're anticipated to buy 2,100 metric tons, and the price will be 70 kwacha for a 40 kg bag.
The FRA Board Chairperson has also assured the farmers that within 2 weeks after supplying the maize to the agency, they'll be paid their dues.
The budget which we have put across, you will notice that that is based on what the budget was as allocated to us by the Ministry of Finance. So it's our anticipation and hope and belief that immediately the marketing season commences, the Treasury will also be at hand to ensure that disbursements of payments to farmers are also made. So I think through the board, we have representative from the Ministry of Finance, from the Treasury, and we have that confidence that what happened, of course, last year, where there were some delays, I think these are lessons which we learned last year, and we have had engagements with the Ministry of Finance and the Treasury to ensure that allocation of funds is given at appropriate time.
Speaking area, FRA Chief Executive Officer Chola Kafwabulula said that the agency exported about 100,000 metric tons of white maize within the African region and raised about $13 million, which was deposited into the government coffers.
We were exporting some maize in the last in the last half of last year. We were actually authorized to export 100,000 metric tons of maize. And that went as far as East Africa. Of course, it also included the Great Lakes region, Zimbabwe, Botswana. So last year we exported some maize. But of course now we are in the new season. And as the chairman has said, before you talk about issues of export, the number one thing is that the country must be food secure.
The agency has also clarified that what has been announced is not the maize floor price, but a price at which the government, through the agency, will be purchasing the maize from the farmers. The agency states that the private sector has its own price as it is negotiating with the farmers when buying the commodities. Albert Mpezeni, QTV News.
Thank you so much, Albert, for that report. The Patriotic Front, PF and UPND youth have committed themselves to ending political violence during elections. Speaking at a joint press briefing in Lusaka, PF National Youth Chairperson Stephen Kampyongo said that the PF commits itself to countering political violence before and after it occurs ahead of next week's by-elections. Mr. Kampyongo says that the ruling party will also cooperate with law enforcement agencies such as the police in investigations and bringing to book all perpetrators of political violence. He adds that the PF further commits itself to self-reflection and criticisms whenever political violence involving its members occur. Mr. Kampyongo, who is also Minister of Home Affairs, says that the ruling party will not bury itself in the sand when political violence is committed by its members.
Dear colleagues from UPND, today we are opening a new page. We further commit that all Patriotic Front leaders will use civil language during and after the campaigns and subsequent elections in order to properly guide our followers. 5, to ensure our structures and communities get involved in curbing violence and the threats thereof. 6, to promote coexistence within the rank and file by deepening democracy and mainstreaming ongoing political education among our members. I mean, just as we have met here today, wouldn't this be the way to live? So, like I'm saying, this is just a beginning of better things to come between ourselves.
And UPND Deputy National Youth Chairperson Munji Habenzu also reaffirmed his party's resolve to promoting peaceful elections in Zambia. Mr. Habenzu, who is also Chikankata Member of Parliament, states that his party has resolved to embark on a massive campaign to end political violence. He says that the UPND has further resolved that all cadres that are in possession of arms be disarmed, both his party and from the ruling party. Mr. Habenzu says that the UPND has also resolved to uphold a high level of tolerance by allowing members from all parties to freely go about their business in party regalia.
There should be no hate speech or any other form of provocation. By this joint resolution, we direct all members of PF and UPND nationwide to refrain from the use of hate speech and focus on issues based on politics. All UPND and PF youths have been directed to stop moving with offensive weapons with immediate effect. The Zambia police should act professionally, firmly and fairly against all lawbreakers regardless of political affiliation. We shall support the idea of having a professional and ethical police service which shall enforce the law equitably, including the Public Order Act. The failure by the police to protect citizens against violence has resulted in conflict.
The joint media briefing, which was facilitated by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, follows a meeting of stakeholders that was convened on Wednesday to discuss the issue of political violence. Economist Oliver Sasa is concerned that the country's road infrastructure development has continued taking up a large share of the debt stock without largely plowing back in the economy. And Professor Sasa is disappointed that government has continued giving major road contracts to Chinese companies at the expense of the locals. He says that local contractors will never improve if all projects, including small ones, are given to the Chinese people. Speaking during a public discussion organized by the Economics Association of Zambia, dubbed Road Infrastructure Development in Zambia, Are We Doing It Right? Professor Sasa called for institutional response that should work to empower the private sector rather than big agencies outsourcing the private sector. More in the following report.
The road sector represents a significant asset to any country, both in terms of the physical cost to build it and the social and economic benefits it facilitates. The Zambian government has in the recent past embarked on various infrastructure projects countrywide, giving many areas a facelift. Despite these developmental projects, some members of the public and sector players have been concerned about the costs and procurement processes. The Economics Association of Zambia has organized a public discussion involving sector players, economists, and think tanks dubbed Road Infrastructure Development in Zambia, Are We Doing Right? This is Edward Mpepo, president of the National Association of the Small-Scale Contractors, and he has demanded that 30% contracting policy be enacted into law as Parliament resumes so that local contractors can also benefit from road contracts.
Surely for this country to grow, you expect locals to participate. If you keep on giving these Chinese, I have no war against Chinese, but when it comes to local contractors, yes, I have war against the Chinese. Why? Why, you people? Why? Priority, Avic International. This side, Avic International. China Jiangxi. China Yinhan. What does that mean in the end? Capital flight. Money is going out. And when money continues going out, what are you going to remain with? Is the economy going to grow? You are economists, you are accountants, you are engineers, you are...
Economist Professor Oliver Sasa is also concerned that the country's road infrastructure development has continued taking up a large share of the debt stock without largely plowing back into the country.
If you are growing the economy, everybody will benefit. And that's why we need to pay particular attention, even on aspects of debt. Because if you contract sovereign debt beyond your capacity to service it, it means that the economy will be starved of the resources that you need almost across the board, including road construction. So the decision that you take at those levels have a ripple effect almost across the board. And that's how construction sector is affected. In fact, for road construction, if you ask the average economist, he will tell you that that's a very important barometer of whether the economy is performing. Because the number of buildings that are coming up tell you something as to whether or not the economy is doing well, as a yardstick.
Meanwhile, the National Road Fund Agency, NRFA Chief Executive Officer Wallace Momba says NRFA will ensure that other implementing agencies ensure that projects are completed on time before payment can be made to contractors.
We call single sourcing, or no, the design coming after the contract has been awarded. The ideal situation is that you do the feasibility study, which gives you the viability of doing that road and the intervention. Then you go into the detailed design. In fact, in some cases, you even have basic design, then you go into detailed design. After that, now that's when you do the cost estimates, and then you have the engineer's estimate. After the engineer's estimate, then you now prepare the tender documents, and then you now float.
For QTV News, I'm Alfred Mansa.
Policy Monitoring and Research Center, PMRC, has commended government for the various interventions it has instituted that have brought about consistent growth over the years, averaging 4% and above. Commenting on the media economic briefing presented by Finance Minister Margaret Mwanakatwe, PMRC Executive Director Bernadette Decker, however, states that her growth rates should be targeted in the future if such economic growth are to be of benefit to ordinary Zambians. Ms. Decker says that PMRC also applauds government for exceeding its revenue target in the first half of 2018 by 3.3%. She says that the proposed measures by government to use electronic solutions in revenue collections should be supported by all well-meaning Zambians. Ms. Teka notes that such efforts will ensure that the country has adequate funds to finance all its budget obligations. The PMRC Executive Director states that government should therefore continue building the capacity of Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA, to consistently meet and exceed revenue collection targets. She has further stated that PMRC is keenly monitoring the measures that the government has committed itself to for the rest of 2018 of enhancing payroll management, expenditure cuts in areas such as use of goods and services, progressing on procurement reforms and debt reprioritization. Ms. Decker says such measures would only yield desired results if implementation mechanisms are put in place and strictly monitored by all controlling officers. A 32-year-old woman of Monza district in Southern Province has been murdered by her husband using sticks following a marital dispute. Southern Province Police Commissioner Boni Kapeso has identified the victim as Mildred Havasefu of Chisola Village in Chief Hamsonde's area. Mr. Kapeso says that the murder happened around 21:30 hours. He says that the victim's hands were tied by her husband, identified as Pumulo Sililo, before he beat her to death using sticks. Mr. Kapeso says Sililo is currently on the run and police have since instituted investigations in the matter. And police in Chembe district have arrested a couple in connection with the murder of their 2-year, 7-month-old baby during a fight that ensued after a marital dispute. And police in Senanga district have apprehended a 30-year-old woman for allegedly murdering her husband after a marital dispute. Police spokesperson Esther Katongo says that the child is believed to have died during a fight between the suspects, Lewis Mianda, aged 28, and his wife, Brenda Mumba, aged 27, both of Mambilema Village, Chief Kaso Malula in Chembe district. Ms. Katongo says that the body is lying in Mansa General Hospital mortuary awaiting post-mortem, while both parents have been detained in police custody. Meanwhile, police in Senanga district have arrested a 30-year-old woman identified as Musole Kafuti of Nalutana village, Chief Nalonge, for allegedly murdering her husband, identified as Imbla, aged 35, of the same village. She explains that brief facts are that the victim was reported to have been assaulted by the suspect on the 15th of July 2018 at a known time after a marital dispute and died 4 days later on 19th July 2018. Ms. Katongo states that the suspect allegedly hit the victim on the head with a stool, causing him to sustain injuries.
In Chembe district, we have detained a couple in connection with the murder of their 2-year, 7-month-old child, which is reported to have happened on 18th July 2018 between 21 hours and 22 hours at Mambilema village, Chief Kasomalwela in Chembe district. The deceased is believed to have died during a fight between the suspects, Lewis Mianda, age 28, and his wife, Brenda Mumba, age 27, both of Mambilema village. The body is in Mansa General Hospital mortuary awaiting post-mortem, while both parents have been detained in police custody.
Still in community news, Chief Mwemba of the Tonga-speaking people in Sinazongwe district have described the 65 kwacha Food Reserve Agency FRA maize purchasing price as laughable. The Food Reserve Agency has announced that it will buy a 50 kg bag of maize at 65 kwacha during this year's marketing season, an increase of 5 kwacha on last year's price. Chief Mwemba says that the 65 kwacha the Food Reserve Agency proposed is offering farmers ease to little. He says that this will negatively affect the farmers' income, who he says spent more money to buy farming inputs. Chief Mwemba has told Q News in a telephone interview that the farmers will not benefit anything going by the price the FRA is offering. The Zambia Road Safety Trust, the ZRST chairman Daniel Mamba, has described the 432 road-related traffic accidents recorded by the Zambia police in the second quarter of 2018 as a tragedy. Mr. Mamba says that the recent spurt of road accidents in the country resulting in unnecessary loss of life is worrying. He says there is need for the government to immediately find a solution to the problem of accidents. Mr. Mamba has appealed to President Edgar Lungu to seriously address this critical issue in order to improve road safety in the country. He has expressed concern that ever since his organization was founded, it has never seen the government action towards reducing the number of road accidents. Mr. Mamba tells Q News that road traffic accidents are having a negative impact on Zambia's economy. Thus, the urgent need for government to seriously address this issue.
We have been working for the past 4 years. We've never seen any government paper. We've never seen any government strategy. We've never seen any government targets. We've never seen any serious government actions which ensure that we are going to reduce the number of road accidents in this country so far. Yeah? And this is a huge concern. And we are appealing to government. Now we are appealing to government and the president, especially because he is the father of this country. Look at the number of people who are killed. 478 people means that almost 180 people are killed every month in this country. We are losing 180 people. Most of these people are active, healthy, looking after vulnerable children, and so on, making this country go back, making this country much poorer. Without a proper strategy, without proper managing road safety in this country, we're going to be losing this. You might think that accidents can happen anywhere. I can give you an example. In Senegal has got a similar number of people or population like Zambia. There are about 16 million, 17 million people. The number of people who are killed in road traffic accidents in Senegal are about 600. The number of people killed in this country with the same population is over 2,000. We can say that 1,400 people are deliberately killed because of lack of leadership.
The ruling Patriotic Front, PF, and the opposition UPND have been commended for resolving to tolerate each other and committing themselves to ending political violence in Zambia. Vision Ambassadors National Chairperson Mishek Kombe says his organization is pleased that the two political parties are working together in bringing to an end political violence in the country. Mr. Kombe says that the Vision Ambassadors also commends the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, for bringing the UPND and the PF together. In an interview with QTV News, Mr. Kombe states that it is important to remember that regardless of political ideologies, all people in the country are one. Mr. Kombe says that this means that before politics, all Zambians have a country to preserve.
We would like to commend the Electoral Commission of Zambia for the job well done, for bringing all political parties and stakeholders together to talk about the need for peace during the forthcoming elections. We must remember that we are one Zambia, one nation, and before politics, we have a nation that we all have to preserve. So it's very important that we all come together and look at the terms of how we can best work together without necessarily inciting violence, without necessarily fighting against one another. So this is commendable, we appreciate, and to them we say, keep it up.
Now, political stakeholders have been advised against sabotaging the impending dialogue process by making unnecessary demands. Evangelical Youth Alliance International Executive Director Moses Lungo says that there is need for leaders, both from the church and political parties, to carry out a serious introspection and realize the urgency of having the dialogue process. Reverend Lungo tells QTV News that the long-awaited dialogue can only take off if all stakeholders commit themselves to the process. He says that by now the nation should have been seeing results of the dialogue process of coexistence among political players.
But the church should be sincere to demonstrate their humility. But the gesture which has been demonstrated by the politicians, that they can be invited to witness the dialogue process. It's an opportunity where they should jot down the notes and take opportunity to see how best peace can be nurtured. So they are part of the stakeholders that actually mean well, and therefore it should be as such. So we want to call on the three mother bodies and other eminent persons, the church and outside the church, to actually be part of the process so that we know where we stand. We know what somebody is not happy with, where we need to. This is an opportunity to just do a serious introspection as leaders and as a country. And we want to refine our politics, the way we do our politics in Zambia. We've always done things in a very unique way. So let's not sabotage the process by putting unnecessary demands from the church.
In health news, Treatment Advocacy and Literacy Campaign TALC National Director Felix Mwanza has noted the need for increased awareness by the Ministry of Health regarding the and other health providers on the new antiretroviral therapy drug called DTG. Mr. Mwanza has told Q News that the new drug has special requirements for the people who will be taking it, hence the need for the public to be made aware of that. He has explained that some of the requirements are that the drug is recommended only for women who are past the reproductive age and for males above 10 years old and above 35 kilograms in weight. Mr. Mwanza says that patients should take interest in finding out about this new drug and its effectiveness so that they are well informed even when it is administered to them. He has disclosed that TALC and the network of Zambians living with HIV are putting up interventions to ensure that the information is circulated to the general public.
So TLD is a new option, drug option for people living with HIV. It's a pill that contains 3 separate drugs. And the separate drugs include tenofovir at 300 milligrams, and lamivudine at 300 milligrams as well, and dolutegravir at 50 milligrams. And the other thing that probably that we should actually look at is why has probably my healthcare provider prescribed me TLD. TLD is a newly available preferred drug for HIV treatment for females above 49 years of age and those without pregnancy potential, and for males above 10 years of age and above 35 kg in weight. Of course, TLD has benefits, and these benefits include a short time to viral suppression and also has minimal side effects. And also it is quite harder, for the virus to develop resistance. So all those are some of the benefits. But I think the other aspect that we should look at is who should not take TLD. That's very important. TLD is currently not recommended for all women of childbearing age and adolescent girls. And I think for details about this, I think clients are advised to visit their healthcare providers who will be in a position to explain.
Republican Progressive Party Lusaka mayoral candidate Leslie Chikuse has held the peaceful conduct of campaigns by political parties contesting the by-elections. Mr. Chikuse says the peaceful environment has allowed everyone to campaign freely. He has told Q News in an interview that his campaign team is working tirelessly to reach all the corners of Lusaka district. Mr. Chikuse has since expressed confidence of scooping the Lusaka mayoral by-election scheduled for 26th of July 2018.
Yeah, I think that the campaign is going on so well. The residents of Lusaka themselves are guiding what kind of mayor they want to find. I think that they are looking for an independent mayor that is going to bring about professionalism in the council. They are looking at a mayor that is going to ensure that he brings about citizen participation at local level, at grassroots level, in terms of development. So it is a very, very easy campaign because basically you know what the people want, and all you need to do is fall in place and provide for what the people want. I think what they don't want is a ceremonial mayor, and those that thought very well to come up with an executive mayor, a mayor that is going to be elected, were very, very, had a good intention to ensure that we do not have a mayor that is going to be there as a ceremonial mayor, but a mayor that is going to work according to the guidelines that are enshrined in the Constitution. So I think that it is a very, very important thing, and the debates that are going on to say that no, a mayor must belong to only for the ruling party or what are not. What you need is a mayor that is going to be more or less a director of the council, a mayor that is going to bring everybody on board, a mayor that is going to...
And the United Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia, UPP's Chilanga Council Chairperson candidate Christopher Mlenga has noted the need to come up with many sporting and recreational facilities in the district in order to keep the youths busy. Mr. Mlenga says that the lack of such facilities is one of the reasons why some youths engage themselves in illicit activities such as beer drinking, among others. He tells QTV News that in order to keep the youths busy so that they stay away from illicit activities, it is imperative that recreational facilities are constructed. Mr. Mlenga has also noted the need to work on the roads in the district.
All right, okay, there are so many expectations from people in our local communities. As you have seen, there are people that are engaged in sporting activities like the youths. Which is very good, and as UPPZ we are looking at empowering the youths so that they are not engaged in other vices like beer drinking, smoking, and humanizing. And yeah, we just want them to be busy, to be kept busy. And looking at this community, you know, there are so many things that they require. Good roads, schools, and a clinic, of course. Yes, a medical health care facility. So really, we have to look into all those issues. Once voted into power, we are going to attend to these issues.
And finally, in our news, the Zambia Institute of Purchasing and Supply, ZIPS, and the Zambia Institute of Management, ZAMIM, have signed a memorandum of understanding aimed at providing a framework for training of procurement and supply staff who are practicing procurement and supply without relevant and appropriate qualifications, in line with the provision of the ZIPS Act of 2003. The program will be piloted at Zamim Chingola campus due to the proximity to the target group, which is the mining industry on the Copper Belt and northwestern provinces. Speaking during the signing ceremony in Lusaka, ZIPS President Chiwe Mwelwa says that the MOU will provide instructor qualification requirements for the training of procurement professionals in public procurement courses. Mr. Mwelwa states that the MOU will apply to situations where training needs may arise on block release, cover burst students and those in far-flung areas who may not have enough time to attend classes, particularly those working in mining companies and civil organizations of the nature.
Ladies and gentlemen, ZIPS believes that in order to fully comprehend and conceptualize the new value statement of the Institute, which is simply to learn, to save, and to prosper, the educational course is an inalienable ingredient to the attainment of this value statement. Fellow professionals, we must understand that in Zambia, over 60% of our national budget is expensed by the purchasing and supply function. And about 15% of our Zambia gross domestic product, GDP, is attributable to the public procurement. Further, over 70% of the cost of production in the manufacturing sector, including the mining sector, is directly related to the procurement process. These pieces of information underpin the importance of purchasing and supply in the development of Zambia. Invited guests, the purchasing function, therefore, impacts significantly on the public funds allocation and economic growth. The procurement function is a significant driver of the major economic and good governance fundamentals of a nation. The role of purchasing and supply in Zambia is therefore pivotal to the economic development of Zambia and indeed the wheels on which this economy rides. It is therefore an undeniable fact that Zambia economic development story will not be complete without the fervent reference to the function of purchasing and supply. The recent austerity measures that government has announced and instituted to manage government excessive expenditure cannot be realized if purchasing and supply professionals do not come to the fore. That is to say that every single measure that government has put in place will be carried out by our members working in public institutions.
Speaking at the same event, Zamim Board Chairperson Mwenya Mukupa is happy with the confidence that ZIPS has shown in local training institutions to provide quality training. Mr. Mukupa has since assured the Zambia Institute of Purchasing and Supply that Zamim will meet the training parameters that have been set.
As you are all aware, Zamim is already associated with the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply UK, and we are very pleased and excited that Zamim is now associated with this innovative development where we are delivering a purchasing and supply training program with a local content suitable to the local environment in line with government procurement policy as enshrined in the Zambia Public Procurement Act number 12 of 2008. Today, we're even more pleased and excited that we're here to sign this important Memorandum of Understanding to deliver a unique training project in purchasing and supply, which will see many practitioners without the relevant and appropriate qualifications conform with the provisions of the Zambia Institute of Purchasing and Supply Act number 15 of 2003. Under this Memorandum of Understanding, Zamim will provide local release training to students who are in far-flung areas and may not have enough time to attend classes. This program will be piloted at Zamim Chilanga campus due to the proximity to the target group, which is the mining industry on the Copper Belt and campus. Due to the proximity to the target group, which is the mining industry on the Copper Belt and the Northwestern Province. The programs will later be rolled out at our various centers. We wish to thank the Zambia Institute of Purchasing and Supply for the opportunity for Zambia Institute of Management to be part of this training innovation with an assurance that we shall rise to the.
Thank you so much for watching our news. But before we go, every type of story headline. The Zambia Food Reserve Agency (FRA) has set its maize buying price for the 2018 crop marketing season at 65 kwacha.